No, I was actually vacationing out of state. Oh, yeah. Didn't go either. Like a long way. So I didn't. How are you doing? So they're way ahead of ours. I feel like I roll over. Yeah. Hours. No, they just have more than I do. That's kind of where we're at. Yes, that's what I needed. There we go. I want to welcome everyone this morning to our October 17th Subdivision Utility Advisory Board meeting. Could we have opening announcements, please?
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. Copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and Planning Department staff reports on all agenda items are available on the counter in the lobby. The Planning Commission's bylaws limit the applicant of a subdivision application and his or her representatives to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the Commission may extend these times by a majority vote. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please share your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the room. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. All speakers at the podium, please remove your face mask before speaking into the microphone.
Thank you. Could we have roll call now, please?
We certainly can. Bill Johnson.
Present.
Tony Zimbelman, absent. Bob Duell, absent. Klontz.
Here.
Joshua Blick is absent. Aldridge.
Here.
Williams Bay. Here. Alternates, Miles, Warren, I see neither one. So, Mr. Chairman, there are 4 present, 3 absent.
Thank you. Before I start, item number 7, subdivision 2024-00047, has been deferred to our next meeting, which would be 10/31. And with that said, let's go to item number 2, vacation case 2024-00044.
Yes, good morning. Brad Etherly, Senior Planner, MAPD. We are discussing vacation 2024-00044. For this request, the applicant is requesting a vacation of a portion of platted complete access control to permit a 31-foot drive onto West 13th Street North. The purpose of this new drive is to permit a dedicated egress for emergency vehicles for a proposed new Sedgwick County EMS post. The subject site is the western half of platted Lot 2, Block A of Castens Edition, and the plat restricts access to all of Lot 2 except for 2 openings. The eastern half of Lot 2 has a drive approach, and there's a second shared drive approach with a shared access easement by separate instrument near the center line of the parcel boundary, splitting Lot 2 in half. This is currently the only ingress-egress option of the western half of Lot 2. With it being a shared access point, there is concern that emergency vehicles exiting the property could encounter conflicts. The proposed new drive does not meet the City of Wichita's access management standards for driveways onto arterial streets. City access management standards require a minimum of 400 feet between full movements, and this drive is approximately 52 feet from an existing drive to the west and 90 feet from an existing drive to the east. However, the proposed new drive would be exit only for emergency vehicles, and Wichita Traffic Engineering does not object to this request, with it being specifically for emergency vehicles to exit only. Wichita Public Works and Utilities does not object to the vacation, and Cox, Evergy, and Black Hills Energy do not object to the vacation. The Castens Edition was recorded August 14th, 1967. Planning staff has listed considerations associated with the request to vacate the described portion of the platted complete access control in the staff report. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Any questions of staff? Guess not. Thank you. Advisory board members, any comments?
Rondi with Evergy, 4025 North. Additional comment?
Applicant or agent? Give us your name and address, please.
Sure. Tanya Cole, Assistant County Manager. Address, I don't know if I know it, 100 North Broadway, Ruffin Building. I agree with the staff report, and of course, he said it a lot more eloquently than I can. Basically, what we are doing here is building an EMS post, and the additional drive that we're asking for is for egress only for the EMS vehicles that would be leaving the post for an emergency call.
Thank you. Any questions to the applicant? Agent? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone else present wanting to speak on this item? Anybody want to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve for staff comments.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. John William Bay, second by Mr. Aldridge. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 4-0. Item number 3, vacation case 2024, 00045.
Yes, once again, Brad Etherly, Senior Planner. Now we're discussing case vacation 2024-45. In this case, the applicant is proposing to vacate the east 6 feet of the west 53.7 feet of the south 2.3 feet of the north 15 feet of Lot 42, Block A, Riverside 2nd Edition. If approved, this will reduce the platted setback to 12.7 feet. The property is addressed at 5505 South Emporia Avenue and is generally located within 2 blocks east of South Broadway Avenue and within 1/4 mile north of East 55th Street South. If approved, the applicant intends to construct an egress window well. Wichita Public Works and Utilities, Wichita Fire, Wichita Traffic Engineering, and Wichita Stormwater do not object to the reduction in the setback. Neither do Cox, Evergy, or Black Hills Energy. The Riverside 2nd Edition was recorded on November 28th of 1977. Planning staff has listed the considerations associated with the request to vacate the described portion of the 15-foot platted building setback in the staff report. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Any questions of staff? Thank you. Applicant or agent? No, wait. How about advisory board members? Any comments?
Rondi with Evergy, no additional comment?
Getting ahead of myself. Applicant or agent?
My name is Les Munn, owner of 5505 South Emporia. I just want a bigger bedroom in the basement. And so I'm learning a whole lot of stuff about this today. And that's it. I just want to make sure I can get out of the basement. And that's basically it. So I can have a bigger bedroom.
You agree with staff comments?
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions of the applicant? Thank you, sir. Anybody else here would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 4-0. Next case is vacation 2024-00047.
Yes, once again, Brad Otherly, Senior Planner. We are moving on to case vacation 2024-00047. For this application, the applicant is requesting a vacation of a portion of platted complete access control to permit one drive onto the West 13th Street North from a newly formed parcel split from Lot 1 Northwest High School Edition. The purpose of this new drive approach is to provide access to the proposed new Patrol West substation for the Wichita Police Department. The proposed drive would be limited to the western 200 feet of the parcel. A zone change from SF5 to PUD, which is case PUD 2024-00017, to permit the proposed new police substation is being heard concurrently with this vacation request. An additional access point to the site is proposed to be off of North Country Acres Avenue, providing access to the proposed rear parking area of the police substation. The Northwest High School Edition plat restricts access to two openings along West 13th Street North. Northwest High School has two existing access points along West 13th Street North, which would not permit any additional drives along this section of West 13th Street North. The proposed new drive does not meet the City of Wichita's access management standards for driveways onto arterial streets. City access management standards require a minimum of 400 feet between full movement drives. The entire western 200 feet of this vacation area is within 340 feet of the center line of the nearest access drive. Therefore, any drive within the vacation area will not be 400 feet from that center line of any existing drive. However, the entire vacation area is over 400 feet from the center line of North Country Acres Avenue to the east, which does meet that access management standard. There are no driveways across West 13th Street North at this location, with which the proposed drive would be in conflict. Wichita Traffic and Engineering does not object to this request. Neither do Wichita Public Works and Utilities, as well as Cox and Evergy. Black Hills Energy does have a 2-inch line in the vacation area, but they do not object to the request. Any relocation of existing lines will need to be discussed and will be at the applicant's expense. The Northwest High School Edition was recorded April 14th of 77, and planning staff has listed considerations associated with the request to vacate the described portion of the platted complete access control in the staff report. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Any questions of staff? Advisory board members, any comments?
Rondi with Evergy, no additional comment.
Applicant or agent?
Jay Cook, Boffman Company. Boffman Company, agent on behalf of the applicant, 315 South Ellis. You'll go back to that last slide. We're requesting this to allow for an entrance into the West Patrol that will be built. We're working with the city on this. And in that last slide, this entrance that's close is an exit only from the school, so we don't feel that that's got the same weight of a full left-right. It's an exit only instead of an exit and entrance. And if you have any questions, I'll take them.
Any questions of that agent? Seeing none, thank you. Anyone else here to speak on this item? Bring it back to board. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve for staff comments and recommendations.
Second.
Got a motion to approve, second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I like all these access controls lifted, but I guess that's for the city and the county. Number 5, vacation case 2024-00048.
Yes, once again, Brad Otherly, MAPD. Now we're moving on to vacation 2024-00048. The applicant is requesting the vacation of the platters text to amend the ownership and maintenance of reserves A and B, Summit Crossing Second Edition. The subject site is located on the west side of North 127th Street East and within 1/4 mile south of East 21st Street North. Reserve A is a stormwater detention pond located west of Lot 1, Block B in the subject addition. Reserve B is located on the north side of East Shady Brook Street between the right-of-way and Lot 1, Block A of the subject addition. If approved, the ownership and maintenance of Reserve A would transfer from the Lot Owners Association to the owner of Lot 1, Block B, and the ownership and maintenance of Reserve B would transfer from the Lot Owners Association to the owner of Lot 1, Block A. The platter's text states Reserves A and B are reserved for lakes, open space, sidewalks, landscaping, parking lots, access drives, drainage purposes, and utilities as confined to easements. Reserves A, B, and C shall be owned and maintained by the Lot Owners Association for the addition. The purposes and uses for Reserves A and B are not changing. Wichita Public Works and Utilities, Wichita Fire, Wichita Traffic Engineering, and Wichita Stormwater do not object to the vacation of platters text. Neither do Cox, Evergy, and Black Hills Energy. The Summit Crossing Second Edition was recorded August 1st of 2017. Planning staff has listed considerations associated with the request to vacate the platter's text of platted reserves in the staff report. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Any questions of staff? Seeing none, thank you.
Mr.
Advisory
Chairman,
board members, any comments?
Rondi with Evergy, no additional comment.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we did have a question for Brad. Is ownership and maintenance going to be transferred from A to A? Does it, if you look down in, let's see, where you're describing the considerations under number 1. It says reserve A from the Lot Owners Association to the owner of Lot 1, Block B. Is it going to go?
Abby, that might have just been a typo. We can.
Is that just a typo? Okay,
We
we just wanted to make sure.
review the consideration and make any necessary amendment to it prior to MAPC to make sure that that condition matches what the ownership should be. Sorry, Brad is pinch hitting for me and reviewing these, so.
I just wanted to make sure it was correct for the record, that's all.
Thank you. Sorry I didn't see your hand. Any other comments from advisory board members? Applicant or agent?
Jay Cook again, Baughman Company, agent on behalf of the applicant, 315 South Ellis. If you go back to that last slide, maybe I don't know if I can clear up the answer, but the owner of Lot 1, Block A owns Reserve B. So that ownership goes with that, and this ownership is tied in with this lot right here. So all we're wanting to do is to change the platter's text to put the onus of maintenance onto these. And as Brad eloquently put, the reserves will stay the same. It's just the ownership and who's maintaining that land. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Mr. Aldridge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just to clarify, you're representing both applicants,
Yes.
and both applicants are good with this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of the agent? Thank you. Anybody else present wanting to speak on this item? Anybody else? Bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve for staff recommendations and comments.
Second.
Got a motion to approve and second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? 4-0. Next item is item number 6, vacation case 2024-00049.
Yes, once again, Brad Etherly, MAPD. This case is for vacation 2024-00049. In this request, the applicant proposes to vacate a portion of the platted 30-foot street side setback along West Davis Drive on lots 3, 4, and 5 of Block A, Davis Walker Edition. If approved, this will reduce the platted setback to 10 feet. The property is addressed 4720 South Seneca Street and is generally located on the east side of South Seneca Street and 1 block north of West 47th Street South. The purpose of this vacation is to create room for a receiving dock, a trash enclosure, and an overhead canopy toward the rear east side of the building. Concurrently, the applicant has a zone change application being considered to rezone the property from LC to PUD. The applicant is proposing to repurpose the existing commercial structure into an inventory processing center for Goodwill retail locations elsewhere. Inventory would be received at this location, packaged and processed, and then shipped to those Goodwill retail locations. This proposed use creates the need for a receiving dock to be constructed on the south side of the building. Vacation request is required because rezoning a property to PUD cannot reduce platted setbacks. If the subject setback was not platted, the zoning street side setback in the LC district would be 10 feet. The requested reduction matches this zoning street side setback. The LC zone property directly south of the subject site on the south side of West Davis Drive was platted in the same addition, but was not platted with the street side setback along West Davis Drive. The property owner of said property would be allowed to construct a building 10 feet from the property line that abuts West Davis Drive. Wichita Public Works and Utilities, Wichita Fire, Wichita Traffic Engineering, and Wichita Stormwater do not object to the reduction in setback. Neither do Cox, Evergy, and Black Hills Energy. Although Evergy and Cox have overhead lines on poles along the east side of Lot 5 that cross the subject setback. So the applicant should contact Evergy regarding clearance standards from the overhead lines and what they intend to construct at that time. The Davis Walker addition was recorded on January 23rd, 1952. Planning staff has listed considerations associated with the request to vacate the described portion of the 30-foot platted building setback. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Any questions of staff? Thank you. Advisory board members?
Rondi with Evergy, 4025 North Tobin. That easement along the east line is 5 feet on each side center line. 5 of it's on lot 5. We would like to make that a 10-foot easement on lot 5 because we don't, our area rep, Sammy Whalen, went out and she measured and we don't know if it's going to cover it. So we'd like to make sure that it's covered with a 10-foot easement on the east line of lot 5 so that it is a total of 15 and therefore we have room to maintain the line.
Any other comments from the advisory board members? Applicant or agent?
Matthew Tucker with BHC, 165 South Rock Island Avenue, the agent for the client. Quickly to go ahead and address that last question or comment, we would be unable to dedicate a 10-foot easement there. The building is built on the 5-foot setback or the 5-foot easement line currently, and the building, there's no intention to demolish the building or do any exterior renovations outside of a facelift and the canopy to the south, which is what the setback vacation case is for. The building is currently 5 foot off that line with a chain link fence between that property and the one next to it. The easement straddles that. There are trees and things through there. My understanding is the Evergy line doesn't reach north along that easement. I know there's a pole there, but I thought it ran east-west. I could be incorrect. But the intention is that the building exists at the height that it's at, in the location that it's at, and then a 6-foot privacy fence goes in along that property line. Between the building and the property line, there is a concrete flume back there that provides drainage along that back line. So I'm not sure that we could provide for a 10-foot easement there with the existing structure remaining.
It's my understanding there's a service line that runs down the east line of the building and crosses the street and services something across the street. And that crosses that setback.
There's a pole right here that if something were, are you saying crosses the street to the south? It would be coming off the pole that's right there at the southeast corner of the property line.
Located in the street right of way?
The pole should be, yes. There's no
Okay, we'll
easement
have to
there
check
for that.
And then there are utility lines that do run north through the easement along the side of the building.
Is there not a line that comes across the street? Because when I looked at Google Earth, it looked like there was a line that runs across the street from that
I'm
pole.
looking at Google Earth right now. It looks like there's a line that crosses the street as well.
But it does not cross the setback?
There is a line that does run west from that pole as well. It's hard to tell if it crosses the setback or not, just from the angle of the street view.
The lines on that pole, Philip, looking at that, can you verify, don't they run east and west and then one going to the south, but nothing to the north towards the building?
No, there are lines that go north towards the building.
Okay.
Yeah. There's one line that goes south, and then there's one line that runs diagonal from the pole in question to the southwest to a pole at the southeast corner of Seneca and Davis.
So what we can do is ensure that we're clearing arc distances on the new canopy that's being built. I believe the existing building is not tall enough that you've got an arc distance safety issue with your current poles, but we can certainly check that and coordinate with you.
Okay, you just need to check with Sammy and make sure that it meets proper clearance, as well as that we have room to maintain those lines to get a bucket in there for maintenance. So, you know, we need to maintain a line that fails.
Okay. So,
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Either for you or for Evergy. So right now, the only utilities that you have in there are overhead. There's nothing underground. There's no J boxes in there.
Everything over there is overhead. It's overhead area.
Okay, thank you.
At least that affects that.
really, I'd like to stress that this vacation case for the setback along Davis is so that we can provide for that overhead coverage in a receiving dock to ensure safety, not just of the employees, but also for a fenced enclosure for trash to provide a little bit more safety for the neighborhood, keep things from being tucked in around the corners and nooks and crannies in the area.
I got a question of staff. Basically, since not sure what's going on, they will have to obtain a building permit to do this canopy and truck dock. So if they can't get something worked out with Evergy, they won't get a permit.
I think that's an interesting question. If I'm reading the plat correctly, there is a platted 5-foot utility easement on the west side of the property line. That is the, both, right? That's the only easement Evergy or anyone else has. So in this case, they're not asking to vacate the easement, they're asking to vacate the setback. Evergy has asked for a little more space. I think the one thing that might be done is, if the will of the board is to do so, is to grant the request except for the east 10 feet. However, and legal staff can correct me if I'm wrong, that doesn't necessarily give Evergy the right to use that extra additional 5 feet as an easement, because it's not a platted easement. And apparently there's not a private easement there either. So does that make sense? Does that answer the question? I mean, the basic answer is, yeah, they have to get permits, and if they don't have everything they need for permits, they theoretically wouldn't get one.
I just know Now, there's certain situations where you gotta be so far away from a line, whether it's in an easement or not, and the clearance to work on it.
National Electric Code,
Yes,
proper overhead clearance from a building, and they have to maintain that. You can probably get with Sammy with your site plan, maybe, and show her, and she can talk to them and real estate, because it's real estate who pointed out to us that they weren't sure if that was gonna give us enough room. But like you said, that us not vacating that 5 feet doesn't give us permission to go onto their property and do our maintenance either. So I would I think they can work it out with Sammy if they can provide a site plan. But National Electric Code says they have to maintain that proper clearance.
So I would like to go ahead and stress that this building is an existing structure that's been there for decades, and the power has been there for decades. And no clearances are going to be changed between the two. We certainly can coordinate, but I'm not sure that it would be right for Evergy to express a right over the additional 5 feet currently. If we were to have to demo 5 feet of this building in order for it to satisfy Evergy's request, it would kill the project, and you'd have another structure sitting there for another 5 years vacant.
well, I'm just saying there's situations that come up being a contractor that I have been exposed to once we've even had a permit and discovered we were too close, even though it was in an easement. So I guess I want to make sure that's all okay, and I don't know whether to approve this so we bring it in front of the full planning commission next week or just what.
So I guess I may be speaking out of turn here, but it's possible that we could handle this easement question or ARC clearances during the rezoning, the PUD, where we could establish additional height restrictions over portions of the property to ensure ARC clearances. And maybe that's a way to satisfy the safety concerns.
I think it's basically getting with Evergy and just saying, does it work or not work?
And just so you're aware, National Electric Code changes. It upgrades just like every other code does
Yes,
throughout the past. So that building may have been there for a long time. Electric code may have changed. Like, for example, water, bodies of water. It used to be 10 feet from a body of water on an overhead line. They changed it like 2 years ago to be 5 feet. To be 15 feet. So existing structures were grandfathered in. So you need to just check with Sammy and see with your site plan and see if it already meets that clearance on the clearance portion, and then see if that you can work out with her the setback portion with the line in it. Because I know she went out and looked at it and she gave information back to real estate telling them that she'd like to have an additional 5 feet because she's not sure that with them. And I'm not sure she didn't mention the existing building. But I would check with her, and you can probably work it out by next week's meeting, but I can't say that for sure without her looking at your site plan.
If you're looking for an additional 5 foot and you have a structure there, and the only way you're gonna get that 5 foot is tear part of that building down, that's not feasible. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, and especially if this has been sitting there for decades, at some point common sense has got to step in.
And I understand that. And so, because when plats come to us, they rarely come to us with a site plan. So we don't know. And Shane makes this comment a lot, that we don't know what but like on a vacation request, we get as much as we can and we look at everything. And I think she was simply asked because I think it got mixed up with the other one on 50th, and that's why Matt got involved with the easement portion on how to get an easement to us. And Sammy has both of those. That's why I think it happened. But he asked her on both of these because he's our rep in real estate. So I think that if it's an existing building and it's been there and they're not tearing down to build a new building, then it probably already meets code. Because usually, we try to string our lanes or put poles in a size that will do that if we're putting in power after a building's built to meet our own clearances.
Sir, I talked it over with legal, and it sounds like this could be approved subject to working things out with Evergy.
Okay. You agree with the rest of staff comments?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions of the agent? Thank you, sir. Anybody present want to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I recommend that we approve, per staff, comments and recommendations to include, the working out of the discussed easement.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 4-0. Item number 7's been deferred. Item number 8, which is subdivision 2024-00048. Now, this one was deferred. We had heard the case. There was more discussion about Evergy. Do we need to hear the whole case, or do we just find out whether Evergy and the applicant got in agreement?
That would be up to the commission, but update that they, an Evergy can expand, but they have resolved the issues with the easements for Evergy, so.
What's the board recommend?
Well, the last time, that was the only thing that we talked about was with Evergy. And from what I understand, last week question was brought up on there and you guys worked everything out, correct?
Yes, we have. Brian and Shane spoke yesterday, and MKC has separate instrument, and it's going to be it's just going to be an electric easement. It's not even going to be a utility easement, so no one else is in there but us. And I believe that's resolved.
Okay.
Have a new plat with that on
I guess
it.
my question is, since this is public, can we just go ahead and just approve it, or we have to put it out there?
Mr. Chairman, I'm having a hard time remembering whether we asked for public comment last night or last time, not last night. Did we? If we already did, I think it's okay.
It went through a full hearing last couple of weeks.
We just deferred it on one item. I will ask if there's anybody else in the audience that wants to speak on this item. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board? Okay. John Williams Bay was not here, I guess, so does that make us hear it again?
Mr. Chairman, yes. Since
Here we
we have
go.
such a
Let's hear
limited
the
board,
case.
he can't.
Please provide a presentation of the staff report for John Williams Bay.
Okay. Yes, if you could go to the subdivision 2448 slide, please. This is subdivision 2448, quick trip, 22nd edition. This is a one-lot commercial subdivision located within the county. However, the applicant states that an application will be submitted for annexation into the city. And there was a zone change from SF20 single-family residential to GC general commercial that will be presented. So if you could go to the next screen, please, to the final plat. And then this is the preliminary plat. Next screen, please. This final plat. Complete access controls indicate along 135th Street West with 170-foot right turn only movement opening and complete access control along West Kellogg Drive with 170-foot right turn full movement opening. There are no waivers requested by the applicant. I will go through staff comments. Item A, Public Works Utilities requires advises water is available. Sanitary sewer will have to be extended. Item B, drainage plans submitted on 9/16/24 and approved on 9/18/24. Item C, standard city fire comment regarding hydrant and apparatus roads. Item D, County Public Works revises street name change and street name change and owner certificate, and vicinity map meets corrected, and access controls are approved per revised final plat received on September 19th, and the plats submitted for you have addressed the corrected street names and vicinity map. Item E, environmental health standard comment regarding irrigation wells. Item F, planning signature needs revised. That has been revised on the plat submitted on the screen. County surveying had comments regarding instrument number notations. Those have been corrected per what is presented on the screen. And item H, Evergy comments, we have discussed that they have approved and worked out the issues with the easements. So I will stand for questions.
Any question from commission? Thank you. Any other comments from the advisory board members?
No additional comment?
Applicant or agent?
Brian Lindeback, MKEC Engineering, 411 North Webb Road, on behalf of the owner and applicants. No additional comment. We're in agreement with staff.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any questions of the agent? Seeing none, anybody else want to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to board. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve for staff recommendations and comments.
Second.
Got a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 4-0. Item number 9.
Greg Sharon, plan.
Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Subdivision 2024-00050.
Morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff here to present Subdivision 2450. This is Oak Tree. Next screen, please. This is located in the county and within 3 miles of the city of Wichita, and associated with a zone change 2441 request from SF20 single family to TF3 2 family residential, and the applicant has requested annexation into the city of Wichita. Next screen, please. This is the preliminary plat as you see on the screen. Waivers. The applicant requests waiver for lot to depth ratio for lots 5, block 4. Subdivision regulations state that the maximum depth on all residential lots shall not exceed 2.5 times the width. I go through staff comments. Item A, city public works and utilities, require sanitary be extended to all blocks. This is within rural water district number 4, and if applicable, will need to connect to rural water district number 4. The site appears to be served by Goddard Water. If the site is served by Wichita Water and it currently has a Goddard Water meter, then the applicant will need to coordinate with Goddard Public Works to kill any existing water services. 30-foot utility easement is requested. Some changes to the platter's text regarding utility easement. Public Works requests a utility plan and some revisions for platter's text for reserve. Item B, County Stormwater Management has approved the drainage concept. Item C, drainage plan concept was submitted on 10/24, and that has been approved for city stormwater management. Item D, standard county fire department comment regarding service drives. Item E, standard comment city fire regarding hydrant locations and apparatus roads. Item F, County Public Works request 35 feet street dedication along 155th Street. Agrees with city traffic regarding road right-of-way dedication along Kellogg. The request KDOT be contacted regarding turning movement at 54 in Kellogg and advises 155th Street West is not a public maintained road. The road shall be brought up to county road standards before the township can take over maintenance. And recommends utilizing the road right-of-way dedication for Esner Street as primary access to the proposed subdivision. Item G, GIS approves of the street names. Item H, standard health comment regarding irrigation wells. Item I, planning, there's some line works for easements that are missing. Item J, county surveyor will need to comment at the time of the final plat. And item K, Evergy has reviewed the plat and will need to request additional easements. These has been forwarded to agent. Street light placements to be approved by traffic engineering. This note had been added after the staff report had been sent out. And that comment is there's an existing primary electric line running through this plat and will need to be relocated to refeed. Heidi Bryan, representative, is working with the agent for this applicant on this and will be contact for this plat. And I will stand for questions.
Any questions, Mr. Aldridge?
Is this in Goddard's area of an influence?
No, it's not within their area of influence, but it's my understanding, according to Public Works, that they do can hook up to their water supply.
Just wondering why their water line is even out there if it's not part of their influence.
Yeah.
And were they looking at trying to annex this at one point? Yeah, I'm just curious on that. So
Yeah. Yep, I don't know, but the agent will be able to see if they tried to annex request into Goddard or what, so.
Well, like you said, Greg, they have submitted an
Any other
annexation
questions?
request into Wichita.
That's-
They have requested annexation
Yes,
into
yeah,
Wichita.
that's right. Yep.
I believe the water well's on 119th for Goddard. But I think there's an agreement between Goddard and City of Wichita. Any other questions, agent or staff? Thank you. Advisory board members, any comments?
Rondi with Evergy, we have two lines running through here. One is going to be removed. It's an abandoned line and now will be no cost to the agent or to the applicant. And then we have another line that's feeding other properties that we're going to be relocating and or removing, I believe. And I know that Heidi's been in discussion already with the agent about this. And so we had to add those comments later. We've also received a revised plats with the easements marked. I think the easement was on the original plat but wasn't marked. So we don't need additional easements. We just marked streetlights for the city to sign off on when it's annexed.
Thank you. Applicant.
Good morning. My name is Will Clevenger with Garver here on behalf of the applicant. Address is 1995 Midfield Road here in Wichita. As Rondi mentioned, we did submit a revised plat which addressed several of the items that were mentioned in the staff comments. One of the questions that came up was the water line for the city of Goddard. We actually requested service from the city of Goddard. They said they would not be able to do so unless we annexed into the city of Wichita. Our client did not want to be not in Goddard. They wanted to be in Wichita, so that is why we did the zone change request through Wichita-Sedgwick County and the subsequent annexation request. There is some additional rural properties around there that are served by Goddard. I don't know the reasoning on why that was done that way. But going back to the plat itself, we just want to go ahead and proceed with the way the plat is submitted with the primary access onto 155th Street. And otherwise, we're in agreement with staff comments, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions of the agent? Yes, go ahead.
This is Daniel with Sedgwick County Public Works. Have you heard back from KDOT Access Transportation Planning on that 155th Street provide any comments?
We have not received comments back from KDOT, but that we have requested information from them. Something you don't see on this plat on the screen, but what was included in the revised plat was an additional 50-foot of street dedication here at the north end to allow for a future frontage road for Kellogg.
This is Daniel with Sedgwick County again. I'm worried about the connection onto 155th Street. Pretty adamant that the connection should be through Essner for a couple of reasons. 155th Street is not a publicly maintained road. A portion of that road, the west side, is on private property. And so I think there should be some kind of right-of-way dedication or at least an access easement through there. And then finally, and I think most importantly, we need to get KDOT's approval and their comments on that. Right now, I think, we have about 30 lots on this development. They may be duplexes, but right now, if there's 2 cars turning left off of Kellogg, they will block a through lane of Kellogg. And so I think that would be a huge disservice if we didn't get their comments and maybe look at doing a left turn lane there. But I think KDOT would probably want some kind of traffic study done on that.
Mr. Aldridge?
I have a question for legal on that. If the commission decides to approve this, can that approval be contingent upon the input from KDOT?
While they're getting microphones situated, just a reminder that it is a preliminary plat. So a final plat would be coming through, but I think the discussion is on whether or not what's approved, if a preliminary plat is approved and the final plat is essentially conforming to the preliminary plat, that's where that would be possibly have conflict, but I'll let Sam.
Well, because Public Works brings up a really important point right there. So I just want to make sure that I want to see this thing go forward, but at the same token, I want to make sure that we're not creating a adverse situation there at 155th and Kellogg.
Applicant, do you agree with the recommendation here?
I would say that we would definitely have to have our engineering plans, our street plans that get designed be gone through, the city of Wichita and reviewed and approved. And I would think that they would also need to go through KDOT's review process as well. So I just want to make sure that this wouldn't be the end of it. We would still be moving forward with street plans as well that would have to be approved.
So short answer would be yes.
So long as we could have our access on 155th, yes, we would go through and meet the requirements for the street plans.
But the street plans would be done after platting, correct?
Correct.
So we would need to know which road we're using for access, whether that's Essner or 155th Street, before we get to the plans, right?
Correct. There's already an existing street there. There's always the existing road. The part of the property right here is hasn't dedicated their street right of way, but the road is actually already built on it. So one could argue that there's a prescriptive easement for the road there already just because of it being there. The property owner could not force the city to, or the county, to remove that street just because that the prescriptive street easement right. So just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think that needs to be cleared up. And again, I think KDOT needs to weigh in on, mostly on the left turn movements coming off of Kellogg and what that impact would have.
Would that involve just an additional street right-of-way dedication from our side to accommodate the left turn lane? Or is there something different that you have in mind?
I think the left turn lane would be on Kellogg for the westbound traffic. I think it's always going to be 2-lane on 155th. I don't think there'd be another right or a left turn lane on 155th. But so 155th, I think we just need to get that right-of-way situation figured out. And maybe that's prescriptive, but I think it needs to be documented, whatever it is.
Right, I was just thinking if we don't need to dedicate any additional street right-of-way on our side, and then that's just part of the plan process that, yes, it includes the left turn, or no, it doesn't, whatever's determined later, I would hope that that meant we could still proceed with the preliminary plat, that wouldn't cause any, variance on the layout itself at this point.
I'd have to probably get with Trish. I want to make sure I know about prescriptive easements. I've never gone through the process of following through on that. But we would want to make sure that that road could be built to a public standard and that it really would ensure public access through there and that it couldn't be restricted by that property owner for any purpose. And I don't know what that document is. I don't know if that's a legal document, if it's a right-of-way document. I don't know how we get there.
So to answer Commissioner Aldrich's question, yes, we could proceed if it's the will of the board to approve it subject to KDOT's approval, or you could also defer it and take into consideration County Public Works concerns and try to work this out. Daniel, do you know how long it usually takes KDOT to respond? Or do you have any connections that can expedite in response from them?
Yeah, the person I need to talk to is David Seitz, and he's been made aware of the project, but I haven't seen any comments yet. So I don't know how long that'll take. And I think if it's a matter of they need a traffic study done, I mean, that might take a little bit of time. I don't think that will be done in a day.
So you don't think that if we approve this and then the full planning commission looks at it next week, you wouldn't have an answer on it yet?
Well, sir, with it being a preliminary plat, this does not go to planning commission next week.
I'm sorry.
So if it's approved subject to KDOT approval or subject to input from KDOT, essentially the final plat could not be submitted for consideration by the subdivision committee until the KDOT requirements are met, whether or not that included KDOT requiring a traffic study.
Thank you.
I would recommend that if you decide to approve subject to KDOT approval, I would also add that it be also subject to County Public Works approval.
Okay. Any other questions of the agent? Yes, not, thank you. Anybody else present want to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission with the pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the preliminary plat contingent upon approval of County Public Works and also KDOT approval.
Commissioner Aldrich, does your motion includes the waiver?
Sorry, I had that circled too. Yes, that includes the requested waiver.
Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 4-0. Item 10, subdivision 2024-00051.
Good morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff, here to present subdivision 2451, Sharice Point addition. You might have noticed in your packet that there was a preliminary and a final plat that was submitted. There was confusion at the beginning whether this was a one-step or a preliminary plat, and I verified with the agent that they intended this to be submitted as a preliminary plat and not as a one-step plat as indicated on the staff report. So this is preliminary plat for a 15-lot residential subdivision. It's located in the county and within 3 miles of the city. The applicant will request a zone change from SF20 to TF3 to family. The applicant states that they are proposing annexation into the city of Wichita. Next screen, please. And then the next screen. This is the preliminary plat on the screen that you see in front of you. Access controls are shown with a 58-foot opening to access 14 of the lots along West Charisse Court off of West MacArthur Road, and a 130-foot opening to access Lot 15 off West MacArthur via a separate private access drive. There are no waivers requested by the applicant. Go through staff comments. Item A, Public Works Utilities requires water to be extended to lots 1 through 14 and lots 1 through 15 for sanitary sewer. Existing specials will be spread on a 2-foot basis, absence of a respread agreement. Request a 20-foot easement, revisions to platter's text regarding drainage and utility easements. Item B, County Stormwater Management received a drainage concept on 10/10/24. Item C, City Stormwater Management concept was submitted on 10/10/24 and approved on 10/10/24. Item D, County Fire request service drive code. Service drives meet code, and they request a 75-foot radius for the cul-de-sac. The City Fire Department standard comment regarding hydrant location and apparatus roads. Item F, County Public Works approves of the access controls. Item G, GIS approves of the street name. Item H, Planning Department complex comments. There's some labeling, dimensioning that needs to be corrected. Revisions to the platter's text. Revisions to signatures and the signature blocks. Item I, environmental health standard comment regarding irrigation wells. Item J, surveying comments, corrections for dimensions and bearings. And item K, Evergy has reviewed the plat and will need to request additional easements. These have been forwarded to the agent, and streetlight placement to be approved by traffic engineering. And with that, I will stand for questions.
Mr. Aldridge?
Regarding item B on county stormwater management, you said that they received the drainage concept, but you didn't say whether or not it was approved or not.
I have not heard back from them. I don't know if Daniel knows anything about that, whether they've actually approved.
I'll try to get you an update before the end of this, but I'm pretty confident that if city has reviewed it and approved it, that will likely be okay, but I'll look into it fast.
Okay, thank you. And also on staff report, it shows that this is 4.73 acres with 15 residential or office or commercial there, but then it drops down to 14, and then it shows minimum lot area 600 acres. So is that there?
That was typo on my end. So it should be 15.
Okay, thank you.
I will correct that with the final plat.
Any other questions of staff? Advisory board members?
Rondi with Evergy, 4025 North Tobin. A correction, we do not have street lighting on this plat. It is a county plat, so therefore it won't have any street lighting on it. The applicant or developer will have to put that in privately if they choose to. And then the only thing we have is additional easements.
Thank you. Applicant or agent?
I am Trent Heinen with Cal Valley Engineering, signing surveyor for 9139 East 37th Street North, standing for any questions for survey matters.
My name is Kobe Pietro with Cal Valley Engineering, 9139 East 37th Street. I just want to clarify two things. One, on your point with the drainage plan, we have received comments from the county via email, and those will be addressed probably within the next week or so. And then one more thing, I wanted clarification on item D on the 75-foot radius in the cul-de-sac. Is that drivable surface or back of curb?
This is Robert Timmons with Sedgwick County Fire. That would be a drivable surface of 96 feet.
Okay.
The drivable surface would be the diameter of 96 feet.
Perfect. Other than that, we have no further comments. We approved all staff comments, and we'll open the time up for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
I'm sorry, could you repeat what you said regarding item B and the drainage?
Yeah, so we received comments on 1010 from the county engineering. We're addressing those comments as we currently, and they will be completed within the next week. So at the moment, county has not approved on the drainage plan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
This is Daniel at Sedgwick County Public Works. But as I recall, this is a preliminary plat, not a final plat. So I think we'd be okay with moving forward with a preliminary plat based on the comments.
My error, this is being annexed into the city of Wichita, so streetlights will apply. Sorry.
Break out the candles.
Any other questions of the agents? Thank you. Oh, well.
I'm sorry, I commented on this from the county fire standpoint because it's submitted as Sedgwick County, not City of Wichita. So I'll have to defer to Jose on what he wants on the cul-de-sac.
Jose O'Cates, Wichita Fire. So since this is a city limits, our cul-de-sacs are limited to below 500 feet. You'll be able to do 70-foot drivable surface.
Any other comments? Thank you. Anybody else present speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve for staff comments.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 4-0. Item 11, subdivision 2024-00038.
Morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff, here to present subdivision 2438. This is the final plat for Prairie Glen addition. Next screen, please. This final plat for a 246 lot residential subdivision located in the county within 3 miles of the city of Wichita. Annexation is requested, and in June of this year, zone change was approved from SF20 single family to MF18 multifamily and TF3 two-family residential. Next screen, please. And next screen. So complete access Controls are indicated with one opening shown along South Greenwich Road. Street connections to existing platted subdivisions have been provided to the north, east, and south, as seen on the subdivision plat. Go through waivers. There are 4 waivers that will be needed. The first waiver is for lot widths of less than 90 feet. Second waiver is to allow Deer Haven circle lengths to exceed 800 feet and to provide no emergency access easement. Third waiver needed, lot to depth width ratio of several lots within the subdivision. And the fourth waiver is to allow no street sub to the unplatted property to the south of this parcel that is located to the south. On the east side of the parcel, there is a single family residential in the county, so no street connection has been provided to that single family residential use. I go through staff comments. Item A, Wichita Public Works Utilities requires water to extend all lots. Utility plan is requested. New water line for the addition should connect to existing water lines on Shiloh Street. Sanitary sewer may not have to be extended for lots 12 through 13. 30-foot utility and drainage easement is requested, and a water meter removal certificate needs to be submitted. Item B, city stormwater management has approved the drainage plan. Item D, county stormwater management received comments and have been provided to the applicant engineer for revisions, and does not recommend approval of the plat until the applicant revises the drainage plan. And I will let the agent speak on where that is in the process. Item D, City Fire request verification of hydrant locations and apparatus roads, requires for 1 2-family dwellings over 30 to provide 2 approved fire apparatus roads. City Fire Department would like confirmation of unobstructed connection to existing streets of proposed Lincoln, Smithmore, and Shiloh. And City Fire Department does approve of waiver number 2 to have Deer Haven Circle exceed 800 feet with the requirements of that the proposed cul-de-sac have a minimum drivable turnaround of a 38-foot radius, and the fire hydrant placement will require a 26-foot wide by 20-foot long fire apparatus road. Item E, traffic engineering requests traffic calming elements along Honeytree, Shiloh, and Bailey Streets. Traffic engineering will continue work with the agent for final design layout for a cul-de-sac to break up Lincoln between Honeytree and Shiloh to prevent cut-through traffic, and access controls openings and right-of-way width is approved along Greenwich. Item F, standard county health comment regarding irrigation wells. Item G, GIS approves of the street names. Item H, planning has no comments. Item C, surveying, corrections for dimensions and labeling. Item E, Evergy will need to request, item J, Evergy need to request additional easements forward to agent. Street lightings will need to be approved by traffic engineering. Item K, Evergy engineering, Evergy transmission. Evergy has a 138 kV transmission line within the platted area for the Prairie Glen addition. They clearly show our easement on the final plat. Our only comment moving forward is that we will need to see final construction plans for any improvements within our easements. And with that, I will stand for questions.
Any questions of staff? Thank you. Advisory board members.
Rondi with Evergy, 4025 North Tobin. Just to clarify, we have a transmission easement with a transmission line in it that runs along Honey Tree on the west side of the line. There's also an old transmission line that used to have transmission in it, but now only has distribution in it, that Kevin Reichik, the area rep, is working, the area subdivision rep is working with the applicant to get the equipment out of that removed, the poles and lines removed out of it, and then having that easement released. It's a very old easement. And it runs along lots, I know the plat's changed, but it looks like all the way across the plat, starting at lot 59 along the south side of Morrison, and then it runs down from there along Smithmore Street in between there. That's the one that's being released and doesn't have any transmission in it, even though it does say it's a transmission easement. Kevin's working with real estate to get that released after we get the equipment removed. We have gotten all the easements we needed, I believe, except for one, a revised plat, and that's the one that's along Reserve H. And the rest of that, but it's my understanding this plat could change again. So, but other than that, that's the only easement we need. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Applicant or agent?
I have a quick question for, if I may. The city has approved the drainage plan and county has not. This is sort of like a flip on one we just heard. So I'm just wondering, since this is going to be annexed, what are the issues that county storm management has?
I'll look into it real fast.
Yeah, I mean, we know. Hey, Bob, I can go ahead, or do you want me to wait?
Let's go ahead.
Chris Rose with Baughman Company, agent for the applicant. The applicant agrees with staff comments, a couple of items, except for a couple items. And since you just brought that up, we'll just start with that one first. We do not agree with the county not approving our drainage plan. This is a city of Wichita plat. We think that comment should be removed. We have no issues working with the county on some of their comments, but this is a city of Wichita plat. We will work with the city stormwater, sorry, Joe. And we can look into the comments and work through those and add anything that Joe thinks is necessary. I will add, since Rondi brought it up, traffic engineering had requested us look at this area here for Lincoln Street. We will provide a cul-de-sac here. And then we have the drainage kind of coming through there. This road now will kind of curve like this and come down and around. We will update our drainage plan. We will add some of those comments that the county has requested in there, but we would prefer that Joe and the city of Wichita approve our drainage plan and not have any comments about the county approving it. We kind of had a hiccup on that earlier on another plat that we did that we didn't have county approval, but it was city of Wichita plat. This is city of Wichita. We feel that it should be the city of Wichita approving the drainage plan. We will gladly work with the county on any of that stuff. The second item that we do not agree with is item A, number 5, the 30-foot utility and drainage easement along tree rows. We do have some tree rows along the south line here, and we do have one that is along the west line. I'll start with this one. We do have some some sanitary sewer along this line here. Most of that tree row, the actual tree line itself is south of line. Some of the canopy does go into this property. We don't feel it's necessary for a 30-foot easement. We have provided a 25-foot easement along here, which is probably more than what is needed. 20 would probably be fine. This area here, there is no storm sewer or sanitary sewer pipe in this area here, and the trees are very small along this line. We could probably remove that easement. There's no benefit of going to 30 on that. This area here is we have a drainage easement along this area, and Evergy has their 5-foot transmission line easement there. Knowing past experience with Evergy, those trees are probably going to be gone at some point as they grow bigger. Usually they don't want trees underneath their transmission lines. So we would prefer that request for the 30-foot to go away. We will, like I said, provide the 25-foot along here. There is one little section of trees that is on this neighbor's property, and just to give it a little more protection, we're fine with that 25-foot. The rest we would like to approved as is. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Bob?
Which lot was the cul-de-sac going to go on the northwest side?
It is going to be their 13 and 32 there, something like that. You have that reserve H and the big lake reserve G. There's some drainage running through there. We had a pretty good sized box culvert that was there. It made sense to just end that cul-de-sac right there, and then we can have a ditch section through there and eliminate some costs to help with some of the specials there. It actually turns it into a great little layout. We do have a little cul-de-sac there, and then this through traffic kind of comes around and comes up through, or it can go down Shiloh, or it can go through Smithmore. There's also a street connection over here off of Todd Street going into the development to the north. So there's plenty of connections through here.
Thank you.
This is Daniel with Sedgwick County Public Works. Going back to the drainage plan, we did have some comments on there. Ultimately, the reason why Sedgwick County comments on city plats is because drainage affects properties downstream in the unincorporated parts of the county. And so that's what Scott was looking at. He provided a number of comments. The one that I think is probably most pertinent is our stormwater engineer indicates that the channel protection volume was not included on this plat. And I believe that's required per our shared Wichita and Sedgwick County Stormwater Manual. And so hopefully Scott and the city can confirm that the channel protection volume is on there. I don't know how we came to different conclusions on that. But maybe that's something that could be looked at before this is heard at MAPC. But it is a requirement that channel protection volume be included.
You're hard on mics.
Until annexation actually occurs, this is still within the county's jurisdiction, so County Public Works has a right to comment, and their comments should be considered.
I believe that it has already been annexed, so it hasn't. I thought I've been told that it's already been approved, but maybe not published. I don't know. Mm-hmm.
But as
And
county
we're not
public works
commenting, we're
pointed
not
out-
saying that the county cannot comment. I'm just saying that this is a city plat, and that should be one agency that we go through, which is the city of Wichita, to approve a drainage plan that's going to be in the city of Wichita, which is basically surrounded by the city of Wichita, except for one little tract of ground. And it does drain into the city of Wichita, even though at some point it does go into the county. But you could say that all city of Wichita drains in the county at some point.
Mr. Chairman, it did sound like the concerns raised by County Public Works was significant to the city's evaluation as well.
I think this is Joe Hickle, City Stormwater. Here's what we'll do. We'll get the comments from the county and take a look and incorporate it into a revised city approval.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Matt Schultz, City of Wichita Engineering. On the 30-foot easement that Chris mentioned, where I'm along portions of the border of the plat. Our general regulations state that if there is a tree row, that you would increase the size of the easement. And in this case, I think Boffin has proposed building some parallel lines with existing sewer lines. I would still recommend we stay with a 30-foot easements if they build that parallel line. I would further recommend, though, that instead of building the parallel line, we actually utilize the existing lines in the backyards with risers and try to connect, use it as we can, and which would reduce the size of the easements required by quite a bit. And we're in talks with them right now. But Public Works view right now is that we would prefer not to have parallel lines.
Yeah. From our utility concept, the parallel lines are in the front, so they're not in the rear. And there's existing sanitary sewer in the rear along here and north line. This is an existing development. There's fence lines, there's concrete, there's utilities, there's storm sewer. To get back in there and tap into that sanitary sewer line, we wanted to just put one up front. We will work with them. If that's what they want to do, then we will gladly do that. But there's going to be a lot of upset neighbors through here. But as far as us running a second line on our property, we were not doing that. The only line that was in the rear of any of this outside of our property was just this area right here. And we would provide a 25-foot. We've surveyed the trees. We know exactly where they're at. We don't see any issues with damaging any of the trees. And if the trees are on our property or the applicant's property, he has the right to remove those trees.
So Chris, your only issue had to do with the variance between the 25-foot easement and the 30-foot easement on the south of the property.
Yeah. I mean, they requested 30 foot into where there's a tree row, but these are not like big hedgerows that we usually get into when we get out in the county. These are very small, and the majority of them are on the south or west property line. So we don't see any need for 30 feet. 30 feet's big. I don't even see the need for 25. And just to go back, I mean, when I start a sketch on any kind of development, I mean, we look for floodplain first, we look for pipeline easements next, we look at the tree row next, because, I mean, that's going to dictate my depth of those lots for along the perimeter of these things. These are small tree rows. These are, what I would almost say is nothing compared to what we normally deal with. And if you look at some of the other plats, like maybe Yellowstone, big, huge tree row along the east line, I think I added an extra 20 feet through there. Most developers want to save trees, and so we will plan for that. I just don't see it here. I don't even see the need for the 25 foot, but we'll gladly give them 25 feet along that area, because there is actual pipe there.
Well, this being the final plat, we probably ought to get this worked out pretty quick.
I would say that would be your job then. Not to put you on the spot. So we will gladly work with them. We normally do. I don't have any issues with it. But in this case, it's not necessary. So they made the comment. I'm disagreeing with the comment. We'll continue with Matt on the, where he wants us to, if he doesn't want the second parallel sanitary sewer line, we'll tie into all of the existing storm sewer around there, but there's no need for a 30-foot easement for that. We would have some issues along the west line because Evergy has that 5-foot transmission line. We're going to have to get approval to put in our sanitary sewer connections over to there.
Any other questions of the agent? Thank you. Oh, I guess.
I just have then one more comment. I would suggest that maybe we move forward and you guys approve the plat as shown, and then Chris and I, we can work together, see what we need, and then as we come up with the actual design of where we're going to put the sewers, they could request easement as necessary.
I have no problems with that. I think we work well together.
Any other questions?
Yep, I can hear you.
Got a report.
So you got the plat. I did notice on Reserve E and D over there, there's 2 easements that Kevin asked to cross.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, like somewhere in
didn't see
here.
those. Yeah, they're
There,
really
there.
tiny.
Yes. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
across those.
He came into our office and we discussed it and he pointed out those. So yeah, we will get those on there.
And then on the west line, that 5-foot transmission easement where the line's not going anywhere.
Yes.
Your 15-foot drainage is on the east of that, and then across the way on the property line across is in Harrison Park is where that other is, correct?
We have a 15 that would go over the top of the 5-foot Evergy easement in case we need to do any kind of grading through there, which we would have to get approved by Evergy.
Right, with
And
your
then-
plans.
And then there's another additional easement on the west side of this property that was platted with the other, or granted with the other plat.
Okay, thank you.
This is Chris with Wichita Public Works. I just wanted to add on to Matt's comment that that comment for the 30-foot drainage and utility easement along the existing tree rows was made before we had received the utility plan. So that comment was made to help protect anything that might be put in there. But I think what Chris had said, and with the utility plan that we had received, it sounds like it might work out. We might have a spot or two that we might need to work with, Chris, but it sounds reasonable.
Anything else? Thank you. Anybody else present want to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the plat as given based on staff comments and other comments that we've had here, and to work things out with county stormwater regarding the channel protection. I think that's something that needs to be definitely looked at. And also including in the motion, approval of all 4 of the waivers.
And working out on the 30-foot easement.
Yes. Right now, we're looking at the 25-foot easement as shown on the plat, but it sounds like they're gonna be able to work things out.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 4-0. Last item is our next subdivision meeting will be in 2 weeks because of the schedule in November. Anything else? Phil, you got anything else? Virgil?